So what is a typical work week like for you?
Sure. It's a quick overview of just like the SNL schedule in general. Like at its core, it is still a live show. I know it's in the name, but some people, they sometimes don't think that's the case. So the host comes in on Monday and they do a very, very brief pitch where the writers will say, oh, I heard this. This could be something funny. My girlfriend said this type of thing. Let's do something about that. And then Tuesday is writing night, and that is when everything for that week's show is written. So they stay up very, very late, usually until the sun comes up, and they write everything for that week. And people will say, why do you do that? That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. They want to keep it as topical as possible, and also it's tradition, because when the show started, in the late 70s, everyone was on cocaine, yay! No, not the case. And definitely not the case anymore, but so everything's written Tuesday night. Wednesday is the read-through, so in the late afternoon, the cast and the hosts and the producers and directors, they all gather together and they read through everything that was written. So up at this point on the film unit, we still have no idea what we're doing. So we'll get a script around like 6 or 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and that's what the piece will be. So then the pre-production starts, and the only reason like anything I do looks good or is good is because the team there from like a pre-production and a production standpoint are amazing at what they do. So what I do on this, I just have a laptop plugged into a nice fast Thunderbolt drive, and then I am recently been using this program called Duet, which is great. It's basically just uses your lightning connector into your iPad, so I have like an external monitor there on set, and then just work with a small Wacom, sorry guys. And then basically I will go up until pretty, usually like 3 or 4 in the morning to get like a decent assembly on it. Then we'll come back Saturday morning at like 10 or 11. Also, we're dealing with, a full telecine and a full mix. So we're getting our footage and we're sending a duplicate to the color house that we're working with. Another reason that the stuff looks good is because we're dealing with like real colorists, right? It's great now that we have all these tools to make, stuff look good as a one-man band, but like I can color, but I'm never gonna be as good as like an actual colorist that does that all day, every day, all right? That's one of the reasons that it has like such a nice gloss. So it's working straight through then up until dress, which is at 8 o'clock. So we're playing the first time basically Lorne or some of the producers are seeing the cut is around 8 o'clock. It plays at like 8 or 8:30 depending on where it lands, and then there's usually notes between dress and air. So then we have like an hour between dress and air to address whatever changes, tighten things up, remix it. If we need new shots, get that from color, overcut those back in. And then oftentimes I try to deliver about 10 minutes before it goes on air. To like, oh no, that's good. That's like, great, you got 10 minutes, we can like crack a beer, this is great. The tools and the software and the cameras have really let us do way more with the amount of time we have. We're never gonna like be done earlier, we're always gonna be working up until the very last second. It's basically like, what can we be fitting in more? So now the fact that, we're using pretty much every camera, depending on the piece, and we're an entirely Adobe-centric workflow. I haven't flipped a shot in 3 years. I'm using like native R3.
Flipped meaning like
I haven't transcoded a shot. We're working straight out of camera with everything. So like that piece, for example, the Agency, that was 5K Epic Dragon, and just working in native R3D the whole time, just with adjustment layers for like our initial color correction. So that right there saves us an immense amount of time. So we're basically staying native throughout the entire process. And one of the other main reasons that we went Adobe, because we don't have as much time to bring in, a lot of outside graphics work. We do if it's something that's like out of my pay grade, like intense Cinema 4D work, and God bless all of you who do that. But I was doing a lot of After Effects work, so not having to, kick out of QuickTime, bring it into After Effects, render it, bring it back in, and then someone says, hey, can you change? And I'm like, oh shit, great. Having that all streamlined just lets us, do bigger, slicker things faster, basically.
So what were some of the differences on working on a long lead feature versus the crazy deadlines
Sure.
that you're used to working under?
Is definitely a mind reset. As far as what we were talking about before, like on the show, you know, you're so locked into, we gotta get this out, we gotta get this out, we have no time to think about this, and this was, you know, the complete opposite of that. You had not necessarily too much time, but you would look at every possibility, and you had so much more coverage, and you're getting like way more feedback from a lot of, you know, outside opinions, which is great.
I remember you mentioning that when you're working on the film unit stuff for SNL, that you guys are basically like attached at the hip because everything has to move so quickly. Whereas with Staten Island Summer, things were different during shooting versus when you fully moved into post-production. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So, you know, he was basically shooting, because the whole thing was shot on Staten Island, and, you know, he was there for a month, basically. And I would just be getting footage directly and kind of trying to stay up to camera, not as far as like having scenes fully cut, you know, like the next day, but, you know, being able to watch through dailies as they're coming in, being able to pull selects, have stuff ready to go. And so that was like the kind of that distance there, as opposed to like, oh, I was on set, I saw that happen, I know exactly like what everyone liked. It was kind of coming at it from two perspectives, but then coming together and then kind of, you know, talking through it. So it started out, you know, different, but then kind of ended up, once we're back in the same room, kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, old hand.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the final product?
I think it's cool. I'm glad it's done, man. I don't know, it was like my first, like, I've done long form stuff before, but, you know, the first thing that kind of like you had to deal with the studio on, that looks the way it does. And I like it. I think, again, a testament to like the production team. I think it looks beautiful. I think it sounds great. Being able to do like a real deal professional mix in like on a feature stage, like that's the coolest thing, man. That's amazing. As a side note, just audio-wise on your own stuff, like cameras are fun, cameras are great, and lenses are great. The thing that makes something feel pro is pro audio, in my opinion. And to be able to get like a loop group in to like when they're reading, like, you know, the kind of chatter in the backgrounds and feel stuff pan around you, and like that's the best. So yeah, that was fun. It was really fun.